Friends and family, thank you for joining me here today at the American News Network with Chris Sanders as we have 49 more days to be held hostage by Jack Wagon Joe and this Jack Wagon administration. Just a little bit more time and you won't have to hear about Heels Up Harris or how Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is stealing our money for Israel, or how this chef from South Park, good old Lloyd Austin, is aiding and abetting the Taliban with General Milley committing mass treason. This has been a whirlwind. We've never had an administration that was actually against America. I'm going to let you to know that as you see the homeless people on American streets, that we just gave another $1 billion away today to Africa. But my God, Joe, what about giving $1 billion to African Americans here? Oh, no. Americans don't count. We're going to give them the bill, Chris. Oh, why don't you just legalize drugs, Joe, and set all the people free for marijuana and cocaine, since you're just going to do the same thing with your son? Do you think that by you legalizing drugs in California, Washington, Oregon, and now the White House, that's had a spillover effect onto American society? I ask you because look at American society today. Look at the tent cities. We have over 500,000 Americans that are living in a tent. We probably even have 500,000 Americans living in their cars. But yet, just in the last week, we gave $385 million to Israel and $725 million to the Ukraine, $1.1 billion to the Ukraine and Israel for Jewish superiority, and $1 billion to Africa. But FEMA, they're broke. They show up with water. They should be showing up with prefabricated made homes, which is what we can do at Sustainable Angels, sustainableangels.com, or go to earthfirstresponders.com. But Adam Good and I learned from this guy named Robert Plar a long time ago, and Mike Reynolds, building Earthship spaceship houses out in Taos, New Mexico. And if we make these houses that are off-grid and we take the water out of the air, well, that's true Social Security, true national security. And I want the money to go to homeless Americans. That's what we pay for. If you asked every vet, every 107,000 homeless veteran today, if they fought for giving $1 billion to Africa, their answer would be, hell no. Don't we have Africans here? Even if you said, let's give $1 billion to Mexico, I would say, hell no. How about you give $1 billion to Mexican Americans that are here? So don't go pulling this money laundering crap with me. We don't buy it. The Ukraine, I don't care where you go. And I'm going to let you know today, Saudi Arabia joined the side of Iran. Now, what does that mean? And I couldn't talk to you about hydrogen and stealth fuel throughout Barack Hussein Obama's administration, or they would have thrown me in prison, because it's stealth. It has no heat. But now all that technology, that Halliburton technology, just shifted from Saudi to Iran. So heads up, U.S. We're going to be going against our best equipment, the best equipment we've been selling for the last 24 years. King of Saudi Arabia, MBS, is going to be using that equipment, all of our best gear, against us. The only thing that we have as an advantage is the new F-24s, 35s have to be approved for us on takeoff. But they do have all of our top-rated F-16s and F-15s at their disposal, and they will be using those Tomahawks at us. Keep that in mind. This war on drugs is a war on us. And maybe through the pardoning of Hunter Biden, if you want to do something, I'm not going to cry about it like the rest of America is. If I'm going to cry about anything, I'm going to cry about the people that are doing time for that same crime, who need to be released today. Because if that's the statute in which you've established, then so be it. But grant that same fairness to every other American and end the war on drugs, because the war on drugs is a war on us. And we don't need a war on us, we need a war against illegal aliens, because the war on us is crystal clear. It's fentanyl, it's tents, it's living in our cars. We have 75,000 homeless people on the streets of Chicago. Will they freeze this month and die while we give another $1 billion away to hot Africa? Chechen warriors are promising Zelensky he will die. Putin is promising he will let him learn about tall buildings and gravity. I'd like for us to watch something, because we just had South Korea go into martial law. This has happened in the last couple of hours. And since they've gone into martial law, my question is it about to get really, really serious? So, just for the verification of what I'm talking about here, this is Prime Minister of South Korea. He's setting everybody into martial law. There's been a ton of troops. I think 1.3 million troops went from North Korea to the Ukraine to fight. We don't know really what the size of this army is, because little Kim doesn't really tell us things. But I'm guessing that they have another million that they're going to put down there, and they're getting their food now from Putin. And there's going to be a major war that's going to happen. So Japan, Kyotskete, Taiwan, the Philippines. If you want to know what state we should do, it shouldn't just be China. We need to put a star on Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Vietnam. We need to put our money where our mouth is. We took these countries over. We promised them security since MacArthur in World War II, America. Wake up for you numbskulls out there that don't know what World War II is. We took it over from Japan. We replaced their superiority with ours, and we said, you can't have a military, you must have ours. And then we went down there and kicked Korea's butt, same thing. And now, because we have a weak-ass government, a woke military, do you realize most of these kids can't even do the amount of push-ups I can do, or pull-ups that I can do? They're that pudgy and out of shape, and they're picking the bottom of what they can, because 77% of our kids are mentally inadequate to fight. As far as Trump getting rid of the transgenders in our military, you can't be a transgender and in the military. Stop it with the lie. And Trump, if you need to fire everybody, here was the simple clause back in my day. They ask you, do you like yourself and who you are? Because if you don't like yourself and who you are, you can't hold a weapon. Why is that? Well, it's because you might kill yourself and the whole entire platoon. That's why. So stop it with the malarkey, even saying that transgenders serve, when all they can do is maybe cook or maybe fold the laundry. But back in my day, they would have been kicked out because they don't like themselves and who they are. And another thing, if you don't like yourself and who you are, why in the hell should I like you? Apparently, you know more about yourself than anybody else, correct? But if I was one of those kids today, one of the 23% that could I serve, would I want to promote all of my fellow kids that are addicted to ADHD and Ritalin and all this other type of stuff? Or would I say, maybe there's something wrong with society today? So as Korea dukes it out, to me, I'd rather sit back and watch it like it's a Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears going at it. Just go at it and let's sit back and enjoy it. Same thing with Israel versus Iran. To me, that's like, you know what that is? That's the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Redskins. And by the way, congratulations, we're bringing back the Washington Redskins. I'm in agreement with Trump. We need to get out of NATO. We need to get out of the EU. They suck. They drain us dry. They start wars. They talk tough. They don't pay their bills. Get lost. And I stand for everybody on behalf of the United States of America and everybody for MAGA, MAHA, and DOGE. We don't need your phony news reporting. We can't stand NATO. We can't stand Zelensky. We can't stand Benjamin Netanyahu now that he's just doing nothing but lying to the president and murdering children. Get these warmongers out of here. Because one thing we know in America, and that is Love begets love and hate begets hate. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're a nation of lovers. We don't need to be involved with the hate of Israel, Saudi, any other country as far as that's concerned. Trudeau, the son of Fidel Castro, came over to kiss ass to my orange man good with watermelon balls. Trump said, perhaps you should just, since you're crying about the tariff I'm going to give you, if you're going to cry about that, well, then basically, how about Canada becomes the 51st state? Now, you wouldn't like the way I would do things. I'd say, you know what, let's make Canada the 51st state. Let's take over Mexico. Let's take over the Panama Canal, Costa Rica, Venezuela, and Cuba. Yeah. Why? Well, that'd give us all the oil we need, and if we control the Panama Canal, then we would secure the safety of Taiwan from China and the safety of the Suez Canal. We got to control the canal, and through controlling that canal, just by doing that, we'd have the safety we need. By helping out Venezuela, we'd give them food and trade for oil, and we would not need to fight these ridiculous wars in the Middle East over oil. And we have enough in Texas and Venezuela to run America for the next 500 years. So kiss our ass, Trudeau. You're a beta male. If anything, we should buy Canada because you tax your citizens so much and still can't pay your bills. Sounds about right. Canada, your politicians are robbing you blind. Fidel Castro's son's got to go. So does Keir Starmer. I'm so glad Nigel Farage got $100 million from our rocket boy, Elon Musk. That's because our rocket boy is Elon Musk. Your rocket boy is Elton John. Which rocket man you going to believe in? I'm just saying. Put your money where your mouth is. And that is the truth and the facts of it. Fact is nobody can compete with President Trump. America is coming back. Joe Biden is running for the hills. He's abused his power. He's giving $1 billion everywhere he can go except America because he's put America last, as he always has put America last. $1 billion, okay, has gone into Africa. Kash Patel is going to shut down the FBI. His FBI, Trump's FBI pick is really stirring up a commotion. If you need help with this, Kash, reach out to me at any time. I'm really happy about your appointment, and we need to clean house. There's a lot of good people coming upon this. Don't think that you've seen the end of Matt Gaetz. He will be working on the right hand of Pam Bondi, and they will disseminate all of these criminals that have been exposed through crooked lobbying. And lobbying is an Article 2, Section 4 violation. It's called bribery. Now, if you disagree with me, I really don't care what your opinion is. Okay, the word bribery means you're taking money for a favor. The lobbyist, all they do is give money for a favor. They're legalizing bribery, which is a constitutional violation. Any congressman that is found accepting a bribe by a lobbyist should be fired. At the same time, any congressman or senator that has a dual citizen passport, as 90% of them have an Israeli passport, should be immediately fired. Your oath is to this country. That says one country, under God, indivisible. If it's indivisible, it can't be divided. By having a joint passport, you are divided into Israel or into Greece or into Mexico, and you have roots elsewhere instead of just here at home. And to me, that's been the beginning of the end of what is called America. So we need to destroy that. We need to sit back and watch Green Bay and the Chicago Bears and the Cowboys play the Redskins. The Ukraine was hit with 60 missiles just in the last night from North Korea, new type of technology, and the drones that are out. New type of technology, the Shahed drone 2.0 by Russia and the Shahed drone 2.0 by North Korea has taken out all the power in the Ukraine. We've had 200,000 men in the Ukraine defect this week, surrender to Russia. This war is completely over as our government desperately tries to fund an engine that is run out of manpower. Again, Saudi Arabia has joined Iran. This is major, scary news. The reason why it's scary news is because we have the Ayatollah and MBS speaking the same language. If they're on the same team, that means they have all of our top gear. This has been the country that has been purchasing the most gear from the United States. Where's our war in America going to start? It's going to start not in Manhattan. I scoured the streets of Manhattan looking for dangerous migrants. They have all migrated to Newark, New Jersey. Our government needs to surround towns such as Newark, New Jersey, other towns in Ohio. We have little cells, sleeper cells that are everywhere, where whether it's train to agua or whether they're Africanized gangs. They're Africanized gangs all around the Prudential building here, and they're dangerous, and crime is out of control. I was with the local cops in this area, and it's very unsafe there. They went through a major gentrification, and it all failed because they've been invaded by illegal aliens. So all the illegal aliens have left Manhattan right now because they're scared of Trump. They're scared of Giuliani coming back. They're all moving to Newark. And I've seen it. I've experienced it firsthand. And it's something we need to get control over. Again, the South Korea martial law is super huge, and the fact that South Korea just slammed into martial law, have our heads up, something big and major is about to kick off. Little Kim just sent 1.3 million troops to the Ukraine. We have 60 North Korean missiles that were used in the Ukraine last night. At the same time, there's going to be a simultaneous action. I'm sensing it because, again, the martial law and the intelligence coming from South Korea. This war is going to kick off immediately, so Kyotsukete, Japan, heads up. Taiwan, heads up. The Philippines, heads up. Vietnam, heads up. A lot of people in the United States, again, they do not know that America assumed control of the entire Pacific after we took over Japan, but we did. And then after Japan, we fought Korea. But we didn't finish the job because we're a half-ass country, and that's the definition of a half-ass job. And so that half-ass job is going to come and bite us in the ass. My dad is rolling over in his grave because he fought that war for nothing. All we needed was a president to stay there and communicate. We should have spent more time there with Dennis Rodman and Donald Trump, and we could have diffused this. But we let the Democrats steal an entire administration to let us go back to the days of hate of Obama and Bush and the cabal. Canada fears our tariffs. And the other thing is this. We have 2 battleships that were hit in Arleigh Burke and a Zumwalt class. We don't know which one took the damage. We also have 4 United States MSC Military Sealift Command vessels. I was in the Merchant Marines myself, and back in our day we could hide with other vessels and supertankers, but we have disseminated the United States Merchant Marines. Ever since the Exxon Valdez accident, we've made it to where environmental attorneys could sue shipping companies, and as such, Exxon Mobil Shipping, they turned into U-Haul, and they started renting out their ships to people from South America or Africa. So every time there was an accident, they could disseminate the legal case in international court. Well, that's backfired on us today because now there's no boats for us to disguise ourselves with in shipping. And that's how we won the war in World War II. Our Merchant Marine Force was able to come back and was able to supply and carry out objectives for the United States Navy. Today it's not a possibility. And the Houthis have done a major attack. They're hitting the Israeli ships, and they're hitting our ships. And they're using multiple advanced drones and missiles. I'm suspecting that their missiles are coming from Russia. Yemen Houthi rebels, in coordination with Islamic resistant groups in Iraq, have carried out significant military operations against Israel and the United States. And these Iran-backed resistant factions launched 3 separate attacks, with the Houthis specifically targeting 2 Israeli sites in northern Israel with armed drones And I want you to know we had a Zumwalt and an Arleigh Burke class attack on 2 battleships in the United States. We're not disclosing the extent of damage or if there's been death, but we have 3 MSC, Military Sealift Command, merchant marine vessels that have been damaged and a battleship. This war is happening. Also, our U.S. bases in Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and Saudi Arabia are being attacked, and this is not being brought up into any kind of news media. Now, we also need to be aware that Hezbollah has had several successful attacks since the phony peace deal, that ceasefire deal that Netanyahu did with Lebanon. So as Biden was saying we need peace with Lebanon, Netanyahu immediately geared up the troops to bomb to bomb Yemen and Syria. And so now, because of Israel, we're in a war against Russia. Now, we shouldn't be at a war with any country because of any country, no matter how good you are or what faith you have, because we have the freedom to choose any religion in the United States. But something I want you to tell your congressman, your politician, and your senator is this. Speaker Johnson called Netanyahu His Excellency. That is a constitutional violation in 1.9 and 1.10. You've all been infected. It is prohibited to call him Your Excellency, a title of nobility. Second, the very beginning of the Bill of Rights, it says that Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of a religion. Every dollar that participates in this war that I see goes to an Ashkenazi Zionist Jew. And no matter how you slice it and dice it, this is a war between them and Islam. Whether you want to call it Judaism and Islam, but I'd rather say this is a war between Zionism and Hezbollah. And we cannot fund a war between 2 radical factions of faiths. The radical faction of Judaism, to me, I'm going to identify as Zionism. In God's way is what Hezbollah means in Arabic. That faction will definitely always be there. Turkey has joined kind of Assad simultaneously. Assad has lost his palace. These are major things that are going on right now. This war is kicking off in multiple countries. The entire Middle East is on fire. And we have Saudi Arabia now joining sides with Iran. This is a heads up. United States Army, United States Marines, United States Air Force. Please be on a heads up. United States Navy. Saudi Arabia is now talking about joining the side of Iran. This being the case, we'll be going against our own weaponry. We will not be able to distinguish certain things and targets. We need to pull out of the area completely if we're not being respected. So again, on the streets of Seoul right now, massive pandemonium. Martial law is breaking out. It's breaking out because it is about to hit the fan. Okay, North Korea and the intelligence we have, they fully mobilized. South Korea is in a panic. They have done martial law. We have 49 days until Trump takes office. My point to us now, America, is how long until we go into martial law? These are not things that I'm just speculating me. Nigel Farage also got $100 million from Elon Musk to go after Keir Starmer. And our rocket man, I hope that we can do that, because Nigel, you'd make a much better prime minister than Keir Starmer. We need to unify with England, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand. Take back areas like the Cayman Islands. Unify. Become strong once again. Take over Costa Rica, Panama, secure the Panama Canal. Through that, putting an iron fist down in trade. Only through doing this can we reestablish ourselves the way Teddy Roosevelt envisioned it. And I want you to know he did this before we had cars driving the streets. Don't let Teddy and his work go in vain just because we have retarded politicians today. Germany, they gave fresh aid to Zelensky today. France did, the United Kingdom did, and we did. We are directly going into a war against Russia, and on behalf of the 7 million Russian Americans, I ask that we do not do that. On behalf of the Arab Americans and African Americans and people whose families we're about to go into war with for no reason at all other than Larry Fink and the military industrialization complex and our puppets, Jack Wagon Joe, Zelensky, and Bibi. And those three, with the cooperation of George Soros, are brainwashing you and draining us financially dry while we're living on the street in tents. 107,000 homeless veterans. We're going to blow through $10 billion that could buy everybody a free home that's a homeless veteran. I've done the math. We are literally being run by a den of thieves and a pack of vipers. And that is just a fact. Russia has plunged the Ukraine into total darkness. I'm going to suggest that one of their Oreshniks was also an EMP, because after it was done in an area, there was no communications. It was either an EMP or that 4,000 degrees gets awfully hot and there were no survivors around to talk about it. I suggest that you listen to Vladimir Putin out there. We need to have a congressional hearing and activate Article 4, Section 4. We have a disability in the White House. He is robbing us $2 billion a week. He's going to steal an additional $24 billion by the time he gets out of office. This is treason. He's aiding and abetting other countries. Again, he aided and abetted the Taliban. The fact that Congress and the Senate has not addressed this to the American public is total horse crap. We all know that he stole from us, and you guys need to pay for it. So if Matt Gaetz needs to disseminate Congress and the Senate for all their crimes and you need help, contact me. I'm at your service 24/7 for free to do that. Here's a closing little message from Jack Wagon Joe.
Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
It's not that bad. It really isn't. This really isn't Hunter Biden smoking crack behind me. But actually it is. So he's done the largest voter network. He just pardoned his son who bangs strippers and hookers and then impregnates them and leaves their babies out on the road to die. But that's okay because he's one of the best artists that I've ever seen, and according to our president, that's the smartest guy I know. That's the word out on the street, America. I'm going to be a hostage here with you. It's been years, 3 years, but now we just got 49 more days to go. Let's keep it together. Keep it together. Keep it together. God bless each one of you. Good day.